Hey everybody, and welcome to Breads by Brooke. Today I'm going to show you how I make my homemade pizza using the sourdough pizza dough frozen balls at home. So here we go. Let's get started. So essentially I lay out the pizza dough probably 3 to 4 hours ahead of time, depending on the temperature of your house. It may take a little longer, a little less time. I like the dough to be completely warm before I start to work with it. It makes it easier to work out onto the pan. So I put my dough in the middle of the pan and start pressing and pushing little by little. Takes a little bit, but not too long at all, to work it out to the edges of the pan. I also use a little dab of olive oil to keep the dough from sticking to my fingers. So I just work it out all the way out to the edge of the pan. Another thing to take into consideration is that if at any point the dough seems like it is just it's not working with you, to just let it sit there for a minute, let the dough relax, walk away, come back in about 5 or 10 minutes, and the dough will actually be easier to handle. It just needs some time to relax. So I do that sometimes when I feel like the dough is just fighting me. Also, if the dough happens to tear or split and you get a little hole, don't worry about that. It will close up as the pizza cooks. You can close it back up as best you want, but it's not an emergency. No need to fret that. So just try to close it back up and keep moving forward. One other thing is that the pizza dough is pretty thin, just by the amount that's weighed out per each ball. So if you want a thicker pizza, just don't make it as large. You can have a thicker crust by making the pizza a little bit smaller. Once I get the dough completely worked out to the size pizza that I want, I actually start putting on the homemade pizza sauce. That is a Pioneer Woman, I think, recipe, and it is so good. We love it. I don't buy pizza sauce anymore. I make a big batch of that and then can it and keep it on the shelf so it's ready to go whenever we want pizza. Once I get the pizza sauce on, I spread it around with the back of a spoon. It just helps it spread out. I don't like a lot of pizza sauce, as you can see. So I keep that pretty thin and minimal. I also add very little mozzarella cheese to start with. I just give it a good sprinkling. You can overdo the cheese really easily. So I do it twice. I'll show you later when I use it again. But I give it a good covering and then I start putting my toppings on. We use pepperoni, bacon. It's just the Kirkland's bacon, the real bacon out of the bag. So we use that all the time from Costco. We get our pepperoni from Costco. And then when it comes to the vegetables, I actually flash freeze these. I get like a bunch of them, cut them up, put them on the pan, put them in the freezer, not touching each other for about 20 minutes so that they're frozen. And then I bag them together. I do cook the baby bellas because they have a lot of water in them to start with. So I try to get some of that out. They do still stick together, but not too bad. So I would suggest doing this with all your vegetables. You don't have to do a lot of the cooking and prepping and all that stuff that comes into it. I love having them on hand. So I just do a whole batch of veggies so that we can move straight through it. This has become our go-to quick meal for just about anything as long as we have time to lay out the pizza dough. So if we haven't planned anything, this is what we go to. We also get the sun-dried tomatoes from Costco. They have a wet or jarred sun-dried tomato, and then they have a bag. So I use the bag with the dried tomatoes. We love them. They're great flavor. They're so good. And then I also keep feta cheese on hand, just crumbled up in a jar, ready to go. And then, of course, Parmesan to give it a give it one more little cheese. Can't ever have too much cheese, especially the variety. And then to top it off, we actually put a little more mozzarella on top just to keep the veggies together. Keep it kind of on the pizza while you're eating it. It just kind of helps lock it all in place. So if you find that some of your veggies are getting burnt, maybe you can put just a little more cheese on top of them, give them that extra cover of protection while it's cooking. Put it in the oven on 450 for 12 to 15 minutes. Depending on the crust, I'm not sure, you may have to play with that if you go with a thicker crust, but I always do the thinner crust. See, our sun-dried tomatoes get a little crispy on the edges if they are exposed. So you can adjust that with your cheese, but we don't mind that. And then we top it off with some more Parmesan, and we cut ours in a square or rectangle type slicing. So it's just however you want to eat it. The other thing is we let it cool too before we cut it, and then looking at the type of pans that you can use, I have a Pampered Chef pizza stone. I love it because it doesn't have a lip. The Lodge cast iron a pan that I actually have has a lip. It makes it a little harder to slice the pizza. So it looks like nowadays, if you look at Pampered Chef, they tend to have a lip on the stone now. My pans are pretty old. And then if you go to the cast iron, the Lodge site, the pizza pan now for them doesn't have the lip. So it seems like those characteristics of the pans have actually flipped. So again, if you have any questions, shoot me an email from the website. If you enjoyed this video, please give me some love, like it. And then there's also an attachment if you want to print out the written instructions for making the pizza. So I hope you enjoyed this. And thanks for going sourdough.